figure this thing out.
And here's Johnny.
Making an entrance. Making an entrance.
What's happening, Gary?
How you doing?
I'm good, bro. I can't complain.
You got nothing to complain about. But we got a lot of folks that have been complaining about this country in the last few years. What's the message, man? Because the idea that you were able to get come to the realization that you can vote, that you had a right to vote, that you can get your record, some cases expunged. What was the trigger? What was the thing that that was the determinant thing that you said? Was it just someone casually talking to you and said, "Hey, Snoop, man, you can vote. You can get that record expunged. You can register." What was that conversation, or was it just more abstract and you just found it out on your own?
It was just a conversation that I was having with one of my lawyer friends, and I was like, people were using me to get people to vote, and I didn't feel good about it because I hadn't voted in my life, and I never was a registered voter, so I didn't want to be hypocritical. So I asked a few questions, and the lawyer, let me know that you can vote. It's not prohibiting you from voting. There's certain things you got to do to make sure that you are taken care of and expunged and everything and whatnot. But once you get to that point, which you are at, you can vote. So that's what made me want to, lead the charge and see if I could do it, and then learn how to do it, and then pass that information on, because it's a lot of, people like myself who felt like voting didn't really matter to them, or it didn't affect them because they didn't get the information on how important it was. And then when I went down to the polls to actually vote, I seen it wasn't just about the White House. It was about city, local. It was about propositions. It was about things that really affected me and people in my family and people around me. So it's very, very detrimental to know and understand what these voting polls and what this voting is about, before the deadline. So that way you can have your information at hand before you get there. So it's not a rush decision, or you making a decision out of emotions, but you making a decision based off of what's beneficial to you and your community and your people.
And it's a great point about all these local races, school board races, city council races, county supervisor races, obviously local propositions, statewide propositions. There's also the overwhelm that can come with that as well. Did you feel like you were up to speed on all of these ballot initiatives? Did you know enough about local judges, or did you just leave some of those things and decide to sort of skip over them? What was that process like?
Actually, I didn't skip over nothing. I treated this like as if I was taking a test in school, one of those tests where you have to fill out all of the answers. So I was just using my knowledge as far as what I knew about certain politicians, and I knew about certain things in certain areas, and just took my best judgment as far as to say this is the person that I'm gonna vote for because I've heard this name, or I've seen some action from this person, or this proposition right here affects my mom, or this one right here affects my cousins, or so it was certain things like that I could draw from if it wasn't a personal, situation with it.
Right. And so for you, this whole process is
someone who really represents the politics, and you represent the side of us as far as the people here, to be able to communicate, to be able to dialogue, and to not be standoffish, but to be approachable, to where, the community can get with you and talk to you and tell you when you're right and when you're wrong, so that way we can make it better.
I appreciate that. What have you been politically active in your life? I mean, have you considered yourself political? Either direct, forget candidates and voting, but to causes, or you feel like you're now more political? You're willing to put yourself out there and deal with folks that may have different points of view and opinions. What's that journey been like for you?
It's been different, man, because like one thing I've come to know is that religion and politics creates the most arguments from people. No matter how you try to put it out there, it just starts a lot of arguments because it's opinions and it's people's perspectives. And it's just, I'd like to say that we are trying to be a better world and a better place. So regardless of your religion or your politics, you got to have some medium ground where we can have understanding and conversation. And that's the key.
What do you think? I mean, of all the things that that we're struggling with right now, racial justice, economic justice, environmental issues, obviously related to the pandemic and the economy and recession. Is there something more foundational you think that's missing right now in terms of just people and trust and relationships? I mean, what's your sort of sense of what world we're living in, man? I mean, how are you feeling about, even beyond this election, about where we are as a society?
Well, I do know this for a fact, that what the world needs is love, and that's a song, and it's a way of life, and it's a fact. It's like that's the only thing that can heal everything is love. So I think just people just need to put more love in the air, and it need to be directed from the up top, because a lot of times we follow the people who are put in positions to lead. So long as the leaders are pushing unity, love, happiness, and togetherness, then we can follow that. But then at the same time, it's up to the people to sometimes lead our leaders, because you can't be a leader if you're not leading the people. So sometimes the people have to give the leader his direction.
Well, that's an understanding. There was no LBJ without Dr. King and the dialectic, right? That
Yes,
sort of
sir.
pushing. More,
Yes.
Snoop, it all comes down to the difference between formal authority and moral authority. And at the end of the day, you don't have to be something to do something. I mean, you don't have to have a fancy title in front of you in order to lead. Everybody has the capacity to lead as long as they're expressing themselves authentically and in that spirit of love, as you suggested. If there's any universal value, it's love, right? We all want to be loved, and we all need to be loved, man.
Right. That's a fact. So I think if people put more energy into that, and I say, I don't want to blame anyone. I just feel like we need to take more time with promoting love and peace. We have a news network that focuses on violence, trauma, emergency, as opposed to, I've never watched the news where it comes on with something great. 91-year-old woman celebrates her birthday. Man jumps in a tree and saves a cat. Anything that's on a positive tip, it never starts off with anything positive. It always starts off with the worst news you can hear. And I just feel like we need to start changing that dialect, because if you go to other countries in certain parts of the world, they don't project negativity. They just project love and peace. And that's why they're living in that type of world.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So when you went down, I love the idea that you voted for the first damn time, man. So you went down and you decided not to wait till election day to vote, right? So it's a reminder, people can vote today, right? They literally can just take off right now and vote. You don't have to wait till election day. Election day is the last day to vote, but we've had early voting. But did you fill out your ballot before the mail-in ballot and then walk down and hand it off, or how was your experience?
I filled it out. I actually I took the online to get registered. And then once I got there, I had to fill out all of the paperwork at the desk with the lady. And then they walked me through it. And then they sent me on my way to the thing to make my decision to pick and choose who I wanted to or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So it was a great learning experience. And it was fun to watch the ladies of the city of Inglewood, the older ladies, like really assist me and help me and be there for me and make sure that I, knew what I was doing.
I love that. How long did it take you? Was this a 10-minute process, 5 minutes? You got in, got out? How long was it?
It took me about 40 minutes because I was taking pictures with everybody. And, you know me, I'm like the politicians. I got to shake the hands, kiss the babies. I gotta take care of everybody. I can't take a picture with one volunteer without taking a picture with all of them. You know what I'm saying? So I had to do my due diligence.
So what would you tell people, man, that just are like, man, it ain't for me. I appreciate Snoop's doing this, but it don't matter. One person, these votes they're not counted, and even if they count, no one's paid. What would you say to those folks that are still cynical, that are sitting on the sidelines and just not interested right now?
Man, you got to move something. You got to get up and go do it. Your action means a lot. It matters. You got to get up and go do it. Like, I feel like me just doing it for the first time has a big impact on me and the rest of my life. So it's an experience that's worthy of at least trying to go get information on, at least see if you can, or just see what it feels like. You know what I'm saying? So I suggest everybody at home that has not went out and voted yet, that don't feel the urge to, just do it for me. Get out there and see what it feels like, no matter who you vote for, but just go see what it feels like, because it's a great experience.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that is great experience. I swear, man, I
do some research and see if I can vote. Now that I can vote, I can really make a difference and not just tell you to go vote, but actually go do something that I'm telling you to do.
I love that, man. I love that, man. And by the way, just Snoop, this